I've saved my progress as LoneTiki.ai. In this exercise, we're going to take this one instance and we're going to replicate it in order to create a vast pattern of instances, as you'll see, and we'll be using the rotate and scale tools to do that. And then in subsequent exercises, we'll take one of the instances and we'll modify it, and then we'll update all the other instances in kind. So to start things off, let's go ahead and give this guy a drop shadow, why don't we? By going up to the Effect menu, choosing Stylize, and choosing the Drop Shadow command. Or, if you loaded D keys, you can press Control-Alt-E, Command-Option-E on the Mac. And I've already dialed in the settings I want to use, and these are them. So mode is set to multiply, color is set to black, incidentally. And then the opacity value is 75%. We've got X and Y offset values, as well as a blur value. All of those are set to 3 points. Click on Preview to see what it looks like if you want to, then click OK. And notice that I have this document set to a pretty low raster resolution. If that bothers you, you can go up to the Effect menu and you can choose Document Raster Effect Settings, and you can up the resolution to medium or something along those lines. That'll give you a smoother drop shadow, but if you do, of course, it's going to slow down your progress a little bit as well. So I'm going to leave it set to 72 ppi just so I have quick results. I'm going to cancel out of here. Now, the next thing I want you to do is grab your rotate tool. So we're going to do some old style rotation duplication here. Press the R key if you want to, and then Alt click or Option click at the intersection of these two guidelines. So you'll need to see the guides, of course, which means if you can't see them, press Control semicolon, Command semicolon on the Mac, and then Alt or Option click at that intersection and enter an angle value of 45 degrees, just as I have, and click on the copy button. And that'll create a copy of that guy at 45 degrees. And then just press Control D or Command D on the Mac several times in a row, 6 times in all, in fact, in order to create a repeating pattern of the tikis. All right, the other thing I want to do is take the central tiki and make him much larger. So I'm going to switch to my Scale tool here, which I can get by pressing the S key, of course. And I'll scroll down just a little bit so I can see this guy. I'm going to press the Control key or the Command key on the Mac in order to temporarily get my black arrow tool. And I'll click on some outline that's associated with this tiki head. And I will Alt click or Option click right there at the top of the tiki. Because notice right now, the reference point is set at the center of the tiki, which is true, by the way, of most, if not all, of the predefined symbols that ship along with Illustrator. Just something to bear in mind. Anyway, I'm going to Alt click or Option click at the top there of that tiki head, and I'm going to set the scale value to 200%. And because preview is turned on, if I press the Tab key, I'm going to be able to see what I've done, and that's what it looks like. So now I'll click OK in order to accept that modification. So what we have here, if I go ahead and zoom out, you can see we've got a total of 8 instances of this one symbol. Every single one of them is referencing the original symbol definition inside the symbols panel. But they all have slightly different information associated with them. So they've all got drop shadows, for example, that have been added to the instances. They're not part of the symbol definition. Also, each one of the smaller tiki masks is rotated at a specific angle. So that information is associated with the instance and not with the original definition. And same with the scale factor associated with the big head. However, that said, I could replace every single one of these. I could press Control A or Command A on the Mac to select all the instances. Then I could go up to the Replace menu there. I could click on it to bring up my list of symbols, and then I could click on Runner instead, and every single one of those tikis will be replaced by Runner. I could click on this butterfly in order to switch it out for that. I could click on mask number 2 here in order to switch out that symbol. In each case, every time I do this, I am getting differently rotated versions of each one of these instances. I'm getting a scaled version of the instance in the center of my illustration, and I have drop shadows at work as well that are being added after the fact. Anyway, I'm going to switch back to Tiki, but I just want you to see how easy it is to switch out instances after you create them here inside Illustrator.